Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on thin ice because Manchester United have an injury crisis. We've got 7 players out injured and somehow Solskjaer's got to deliver. Now, the most recent player to get injured is Anthony Martial. He sustained a hip injury in our 1-1 draw with AC Milan. I think it said he's going to have the scan on his hip. And he's just recently come back from injury. Now, for the vast majority of this season, Martial has been out of form. He's had chances, but he hasn't converted them. There's a lot of Manchester United fans saying we should sell Anthony Martial in the summer. But to his credit, he's done well in his last 2 games. And I said if them performances can persist, I may change my perception on Martial. But Solskjaer did come out and say that he's been impressed with Anthony Martial's work rate and he's backed him to rediscover his form. He was good last season and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial has been at the club over 5 years. Marcus Rashford, he's a big miss as well. He's got an ankle injury. He sustained it in our 2-0 win against Man City. He did have the scan on his ankle and there's no ligament damage on his ankle. It's just bruised and swollen. Rashford, I don't think is going to be available for the game against West Ham. Solskjaer's hopefully will be available for the game against AC Milan in the second leg. You know, Marcus Rashford is a very, very good player. And, you know, when he plays well, he can make good runs in behind. He can cause problems for the opposition defence. He can create chances and he can score good goals. I think Rashford's mostly effective out wide on the left-hand side. You know, sometimes we put him on the right-hand side, don't think he's that effective there. And sometimes we put him up centrally, and I don't think he's that good centrally. Rashford has been part of the club for several years. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. Edison Cavani, he's out with injury at the moment. And he's a big miss because he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. You know, Edison Cavani can score goals, his hold-up play is good, he can create chances, his movement in and out of the box is also very good. Cavani is not going to be available for the game against West Ham tomorrow. I think Cavani's going to be leaving Man United in the summer. Because Solskjaer has revealed that he's closer to Boca Juniors than staying at Manchester United. He did also say that his future has not been decided yet. Edison Cavani's father has said that Edison Cavani is unhappy at the club and he's not comfortable in England and he wants to leave. Reports in Argentina said that Cavani's decided to leave Man United after just a season at the club. And he's rejected the contract extension and he wants to join Boca Juniors on a 3-year contract and he's willing to take a pay cut. We got Cavani on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract on Man United with an option of a 2nd year. Paul Pogba, he's out with a thigh injury. The last game Paul Pogba played was the 3-3 draw with Everton. And definitely Paul Pogba has been a big miss because we lack creativity in that midfield without Paul Pogba, and we are too defensive. But I'm expecting Paul Pogba to be back soon, and he won't play any part against West Ham. Earlier on this season, he had an ankle injury, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. We was getting the best out of Paul Pogba before he got this thigh injury. Now, Pogba could still leave Man United in the summer. He has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and his former club Juventus have been in for him. Pogba endured 4 exceptional years with Juventus before he rejoined Manchester United. Said a few weeks ago we revealed our asking price for Pogba, and it was £100 million. I'm very, very sceptical we'll get 100 million if we sell him in the summer. I reckon we'd get from between 60 to 70 million pounds. We've actually been looking at possible replacements for Paul Pogba. I heard that Eduardo Camavinga, we're looking at him as a possible replacement for Paul Pogba. Now, narratives came out a few weeks ago saying that Paul Pogba is open to staying at Man United after making a transfer U-turn, and he's willing to discuss a new contract. Solskjaer suggested earlier on this season that Pogba could sign a new contract because he said he's happy at the club. Paul Pogba is under contract on Man United until June 2022 because earlier on this season we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract. Mini Oriola, he's desperate to get his client out of the football club in the summer. He said earlier on this season he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United, and he made an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence because Mini Oriol has been criticised a lot of times and he doesn't have a good relationship with Man United, and he made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriol's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him, and this is his 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. Donny van de Beek, he's got a muscular problem. Donny van de Beek has played nowhere near as much as I expected, but he is still a key player. Most of Van de Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. When we got Donny van de Beek, I expected him to be in the team week in, week out, and I expected him to get a lot of starts, but it hasn't happened. Solskjaer said earlier on this season that Donny van de Beek's unhappy at the club because of his lack of game time, but he promised him more game time at Man United. Van de Beek's not going to be playing against West Ham, Solskjaer's confirmed. We got him in a deal worth £40 million. We paid £35 million up front and there was £5 million in add-ons. Van de Beek's got a contract with the club until 2025. And he can play in 3 different roles, so he's versatile. Juan Mata, he's out with injury. Juan Mata doesn't get in our team anyway. And Phil Jones, he's still out with injury. And he's another player that doesn't get in our team. Phil Jones has been out with injury for over a year. De Gea, he's now back because he has been out due to personal reasons, and Solskjaer said De Gea could return in goal tomorrow against West Ham. I don't see it happening. I think it will be Dean Henderson. De Gea, I think, is self-isolating. The game against AC Milan recently was very, very disappointing. It was a 1-1 draw, and it was a very average performance by Manchester United. For large periods of the game, AC Milan dominated. AC Milan had 2 disallowed goals, one from offside from Raphael, and the other one from a handball from Kessie. And AC Milan had some good chances. But definitely Dean Henderson should have saved AC Milan's equaliser in injury time. And even Solskjaer said the exact same thing. The only positive from that game, from a Man United perspective, was Amad Traore coming off the bench and scoring his first goal for the club. It was a very, very good header, and it was a good through ball from Bruno Fernandes. So Bruno Fernandes got the assist. Harry Maguire missed an absolute sitter. He hit the post from a yard out. It's probably the worst miss I've seen in football history. James had a good chance, put it wide. Martial had a good chance, produced a good save from Donnarumma. AC Milan now have the upper hand going into the second leg at the San Siro because they have got that vital away goal. And I thought in that game against Milan, Solskjaer's substitutions were clueless. But in the vast majority of the games Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has managed, he's been tactically naive. And I said his decision making is one of the biggest concerns about him. In some games he showed tactical flexibility. He showed tactical flexibility in the 2-0 win against Man City. I'm really surprised the way he approached that game against City. But it was a very, very good result against City. Not only a good result, also a very good performance. Should have won by more than 2 goals. We ended Man City's 21 match winning run, and we are unbeaten in our last 22 Premier League away games. So we haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. It was the first big team we're beaten in the Premier League this season because we struggled against a lot of the big teams this season. But Solskjaer did admit that we are still too far behind City to be in the title race. There is quite a lot of Manchester United fans that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. I think we will sack him eventually, just not at this present time because, as far as I'm aware at the moment, there is no one available to replace him. Mauricio Pochettino was the favourite to replace Solskjaer when he was under series pressure. And Pochettino was the favourite to take over after Jose Mourinho got sacked, but Pochettino's out of the equation because he's at PSG. I think there's a few Man United fans that would take Julian Nagelsmann in as a replacement for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So yeah. But us sacking Solskjaer wouldn't solve all the issues. Because when we are inconsistent, not all of the blame stems from him. I think we're set to hand Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new contract in the summer. I think Man United are set to hand him a new 3-year contract. He said earlier on this season that Solskjaer's future was in doubt because he admitted that nobody had spoke to him over a new contract. I think Ole's into the final, is it 16 or 17 months of his current contract. Solskjaer must win a trophy at Manchester United to avoid the sack. Because he's not yet won a trophy as Man United manager. And we haven't won a trophy since 2017. and that's nowhere near good enough to our standards, and a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. Yes, the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. A lot of United fans did say we made a mistake giving Solskjaer the job permanently. And some United fans said we gave him the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that season to decide or not whether to give him the job. But the main explanation we give him the job permanently is because he did very, very well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager over 2 years. He hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager, but reflecting now on his being at the club, he has gained some managerial experience and learnt quite a bit on the job. I don't think Solskjaer's been backed enough in the transfer windows he has enjoyed so far. Solskjaer has enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager, and he's spent almost £300 million, and he has made some good signings, but as yet he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. So in that aspect, the blame stems from the board. Like I've said to you so many times, the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years, reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. The board haven't got the players that our managers wanted in, and we've overpaid for players. You know, Woodward's been at the club since 2012, and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005, and Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ollie. He did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows, and even when was enjoying them really bad periods, Woodward come out and assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. Our board have got a soft stance on Ollie, with him being a club legend, and like I said, the main explanation why Solskjaer is still Man United manager is because he is a club legend. You know, disregarding him being a legend of the club, I don't think he'd have been Man United manager now. Woodward recently did a statement, and he said the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So in that aspect, the board are backing him. You know, this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career, because Man United need to make signings. A new centre-back and a new forward are the 2 priorities. I expect us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. Solskjaer's already warned we may not do business as usual due to the pandemic, but he said he's only interested in bringing in players that would be a perfect fit for the club. And you know, there has been quite a few players on our agenda. You know, we're also going to offload players in the summer, so in that aspect will generate money and it will help us with our rebuilding process. We've got to credit Solskjaer in quite a few aspects. You know, we are second in the Premier League. At one point, he got us top of the Premier League for the first time in like 8 years, but we had a period where we was dropping too many points, so we're no longer in the title race. I don't see us winning the title under Ole. We haven't won the Premier League title since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. You know, we've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. You know, we're in the FA Cup quarter-finals. He's got us to the Europa League last 16, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. You know, did well last season in his first full season at the club. Got us a 3rd place finish. the second highest we've finished since Ferguson, got us qualification for the Champions League and guided us to 3 semi-finals. You know, he's got rid of a lot of the deadwood as well since he got recommended in. Like I said, he's brought some good players in. But top 4 is our aim in the Premier League. I can almost assure we will get the top 4. Top 4 is not guaranteed yet though. You know, if we finished out of the top 4, it would be a disaster. And then I would turn around and say that Solskjaer deserves to be sacked. In the last 8 years, we have been playing catch-up. You know, we've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson retired. You know, we sacked David Moyes after 10 months. He endured the shortest tenure at the club. He's the worst manager we've ever had. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years. He won the FA Cup at the club. We sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. He won the Europa League, the League Cup and the Charity Shield. Some people won't count the Charity Shield down. We finished second in Mourinho's first season. Mourinho did well in his first season at the club, and then all of a sudden it went all downhill in his second season. The main reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players, and the board weren't backing the signings that he wanted to recommend in. So Ollie's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson, and mistakes have been made since Ferguson retired, and that's one of the main explanations why we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been. You know, we spent over £1 billion. You know, we must have brought around 37 players in. And the vast majority of them players we brought in haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. Maybe you can say there's some players we've brought in who we should have kept, who we got rid of. You know, under the David Moyes era, you know, we brought 2 players in. That was Juan Mata and Marion Fellaini. You know, Louis van Gaal, he must have brought a good 14, 15 players into the club. He brought the likes of Schneidlin in, Sebastian Schweinsteiger, Di Maria, Falcao, Memphis Depay, Herrera, Rojo, Damian, Valdez, Romero, Martial, Shaw, Blind. So they're a lot of the players Louis van Gaal brought in, and Jose Mourinho, he recommended 11 players in to the football club. You know, Solskjaer is inheriting some players from other managerial eras, but Solskjaer has got rid of quite a few players Mourinho brought in. The vast majority of the players Van Gaal brought in are no longer here, but there's still some players here from the Van Gaal era. Matt's still here from the Moyes era. And we've only got 2 at Man United from the Sir Alex Ferguson era, and that's De Gea and Phil Jones. But us sacking Solskjaer wouldn't really solve a lot, because we've seen that in the last 8 years. You know, every time we sack a manager, you know, we hope that we get back good again, and it never seems to happen. It really, really doesn't. So yeah, give Solskjaer a bit more time. But there is good players at Man United, and like I've said, there's players that are really, really improving. You know, Dean Henderson, he's done well in the games he's played in this season, and like I've said in regards to Dean Henderson, I think he's reliable enough now to become our number 1, because he has got that experience behind him, and he enjoyed 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. Luke Shaw, he's been our player of the season by far. You know, Luke Shaw has got forward well. He's created chances for his teammates. His crossing's been good. He made good overlapping runs, and defensively being very, very good. Luke Shaw's had a good career at Man United apart from his injuries. He's been at the club over 6 years, and he still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles last summer. Because when we got Alex Telles, I expected him to be our first choice left back. Telles has played nowhere near as much as I expected, but I prefer Shaw to Telles anyway, because Shaw gets forward better than Telles does. Eric Bailly, he's done really, really well in the games he's played in this season. He can intercept the ball well, he shows that ability to play out from the back, he can be effective in the air. Bailly recently made his 100th appearance for the club against AC Milan. As you all know, Solskjaer confirmed in his press conference building up to the game against West Ham that Man United are in talks with Eric Bailly over a new contract. I think we're looking to get him a new 3-year contract. Bailly's just got 15 months left on his current contract. And Wan-Bissaka, I think he's done well in some games this season where he showed good attacking intent. He's got into good positions, his crossing's been good, and defensively he's been superb. But it's actually said we're looking to sign a new right-back to provide competition for Wan-Bissaka, because Wan-Bissaka is the only recognised right-back at the club. You know, Brandon Williams can play at right-back, but he seldom plays. Axel Tuanzebe can, but he seldom plays, and Delors, he's not at the club, he's on loan at AC Milan, and plus we offloaded Valencia and Ashley Young. We've got Wan-Bissaka in a deal worth £50 million. Scott McTominay, he's been decent in some of the games he's played in this season. I think he's a decent player, but McTominay is not at that level yet as we want him to be at. Can he emulate to that level? Fred, I think aspects of his game have improved. You know, when Fred plays well, he can get forward well, he can control the midfield, he can pass the ball well, and he can also break up play well at times. Fred has been at the club a few years, you know, was getting the best out of Paul Popper before he got that thigh injury. You know, Donny van de Beek's a good player when he plays. Bruno Fernandes, you know, he's made a difference in this team. He really, really has. He's our best player and is the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era, is Bruno Fernandes. In most of his games at Man United, he's been consistent, but there's also been a few games where he has looked off the pace. I think we need to give him a rest at some point, but earlier on this season, Bruno Fernandes denied that he needed a rest because he wants to help the club win trophies. Bruno Fernandes has won Player of the Month quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. So recent narratives have said regarding Fernandes that he's refusing to sign a new contract until he has assurances over the club's transfer plans. It says we're willing to double Bruno Fernandes' wages to £200,000 a week. Fernandes' current contract with us expires in 2025. There's an option to extend for a further 12 months. We initially paid £47 million for Fernandes in January of last year, but the overall cost with add-ons is just over £67 million. Don't forget, Fernandes said on his 12-month anniversary that he's planning on spending many years at Man United. You know, Mason Greenwood, I've been very, very impressed with him since he broke into our first team squad. Greenwood made his senior debut in 2019. He's been a United player since the age of 7. You know, he's made 80-odd first team appearances for us. Earlier on this season, Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract with the club. Ollie's been defending him a lot this season. And at the start of this season, we give him that number 11 shirt. And like I mentioned, Cavani's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. So we have got some good players. And like I said, our current squad is good enough to finish at least in the top 4. But I said, if we can win a trophy this season, we can finish second. I think that'll represent a good season for Man United. Then that'll give us something to build on going on into next season, won't it? You know? But like I've already said to you, no one is going to replicate what Ferguson did. And no one's going to last as long as Ferguson did. Ferguson endured a 27-year tenure at Man United and won 30-odd trophies. So he brought success to the club. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.